What's up, Black Comic Lords? We are back in the building. We have with us tonight Mr. Murewa Ayodele and Dotun Akande, the two great creators of Akogun, Brutalizer of the Gods. This is not the first time these gentlemen have been with us. They've decided to grace us again. Issue 3 just dropped this week, and we're here to talk about it. Good evening, gentlemen. I guess it's good morning for you, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
good morning.
good
Good
morning.
evening.
All the way from Nigeria. What time is it there right now?
2:12, 2 a.m.
About what? Two.
2 a.m.
We
Yeah.
appreciate you joining us, and I know it's a big time thing. So we're going to try and go through this as quickly as possible. There's a lot of stuff to go to because you guys do some really dope work. So when last you visited with us, we had only had the first couple of issues, or I think we only had the first issue.
Only the first issue. Yeah.
Only the first issue. So now the first. Let's do a recap for those of you who've been living under a rock and explain to you the world of Akogon. I think you told me how to say it correctly last time. It's Akogon. Akogun. Akogun. All right, I got it. I will get it.
Yes.
All right. So we have this world of gods and men. And our first god we're introduced to in the first issue is Obatala. Can you tell us about this character?
Obatala is famously known to be a drunk god.
Very
He's
well.
the creator of mankind, and he created us while he was drunk. And well, in this story of ours, while he was drunk, he created monsters and created us alongside them, and we are part of his plans to have revenge against the gods.
He seems to be a troublemaker god, kind of like
Loki.
the Yoruba's version. It's of Loki. It is Yoruba, right? That this is
Yes.
all right.
Yes.
All right. So then we're introduced to his nemesis, Ogun. Tell us who this is.
Ogun is the god of war in Yoruba mythology, and our take on him has him being the law and order aspects of the gods, being an opposite of the chaos of Obatala, and yeah, it's like the police of the gods, the chief whip. So his power is basically the god of metal, but he has the extra title of the war god, almost like the chief whip in a council.
Right. Right. One's the god of chaos. The other one's the god of order. Um, which one wins? Well, you know that Obatala did not win. He was defeated by Ogun, who chose to seek out, and Obatala chose to seek out his revenge. Not directly, though, because he's more of a trickster god type guy. He plans ahead, he uses his mind. So he plans ahead and says, I'm not going to directly attack you. I'm going to have someone else attack you. And so he uses his powers to impregnate a young girl who ultimately gives birth to his revenge. Akogun, brutalizer of the gods. Now, is this directly from Yoruba faith or folklore, or is this something that you guys um, sort of created or was just inspired by?
Um, um, uh, Akogun is basically a creation of Dotun Anaya, but is inspired by a lot of great African tales, which are usually centered around hunters. So when you have stories of human beings interacting with spirits, with gods, and stuff, they're usually hunters. While maybe in Western stories, it's usually like a knight and a warrior. But for us, it's usually the hunters because warriors tend to stay in their village until it's time for war. But hunters, either in wartime or in peacetime, they are always
Yeah.
exploring the thick jungle. And during war times too, a lot of them are badass warriors as well. because they usually have magical charms. So, and you need magical charms to fight wars and during that time. You need to be known as this person that
That's
can
my
turn
network.
water into fire and stories like that. So the fact that they're also feared also helps you in during war times to recruit them.
Now, Dotun, how did you determine the look of these characters? What did you draw from to make their looks?
So, when Murewa came up with the script and the character traits, we had a couple of conversations around what we wanted them to look like. So, for Obatala, him being a trickster god, I wanted him to look the most unique. I wanted his silhouette to stand out the most. And so I gave him certain features that did not necessarily fit in that world. However, for Ogun, the war god, and is someone who is a god who is a god of order and law and principle. Um, I did some Google searches for what other creators had done with that god, and I wanted to deviate as much as possible. So
Mm.
I gave him this alien looking thing, especially with his feet. I didn't want him to look too different, but I needed him to look like someone you don't want to mess with. I needed him to look like he was worthy of that title. And
Mm.
if I drew inspiration from anywhere, I would say I drew inspiration from bodybuilders who looked like they were disciplined, who looked like they had a lot of they had spent a lot of time in the gym and all of that. So Ogun, I needed Ogun to look like someone who was a disciplined, principled person, but had this alien, foreign touch to him. Yeah, and the length of his hair is a personal thing that I like because I knew that I was going to have a fight later on in the story, and I was thinking about the cover I wanted to put on the first issue. I needed something that would be very captivating. Some of the things I started uh, playing around with was Akogun pulling his long hair or something, which I eventually used later on in the story. I like when people fight dirty, pull their necktie or pull their long hair and stuff like that. There's a character in the Christian Bible where I think he should be David's son or Solomon's son. I can't remember who. He,
Davidson.
David's son, right? Thanks. He cut his hair was his beautiful hair. He cut his hair. He cut his hair once a year. But I think at this time where he was running away from, I think David's people, his hair was cut in three branches. That story stuck with me the first time I heard it, and I'd always wanted to do that to some character at some point in my life. So I thought about Ogun and that guy, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to give him long hair, and it is going to be his downfall. Maybe, yeah, those are some of the things I was looking at.
Well, everyone seems to be very impressed with your art. I think
Thank
you're
you.
converting some people that want to get your book.
Yeah.
Um,
I like the
so
reference saying his artwork reminds a fan of Mobius.
Mobius,
Is
that's high praise.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
high praise.
serious eye praise. And is an artist we continually go through his artwork to
Yes,
just get inspiration. He's a phenomenal artist, and his visuals have always influenced our storytelling.
definitely.
All right. So Gordon corrects me and has me specify this woman was already pregnant, but then Obatala infused his power in her womb to the
Yes.
child to make the power of Akogun to defeat the gods.
Yes, Gordon is right.
All right. Uh, so now that brings us to issue 3. You guys get a lot of credit just for your covers alone. I mean, these were in our space. People were like debating on which one to get, and Mark and I have debated which one's the better cover. We can't figure that out, but you guys have fantastic covers on this run. Is that
Yes.
something that onipress was pushing, or did you guys ask for a bunch of covers? How'd that come to be?
We were both going in our own directions to get artists. Like with the images you have up, the first one is in Euclid, and
Right.
Onipress reached out to him. The second one is by Salim Busuru. Is a phenomenal artist in Kenya that we've been following him for years. So a lot of the covers have been by some of the best artists in Africa, like Venus Bambisa. There's some by Samuel Iwunze. We just released a free horror comic book. He was the artist on that project. So he did like this horrific kind of cover and more artists like that. There are some variants that we were not able to release, and we're hoping maybe in a collection in the future, we're able to include some of those covers by like Nigerian superstar Akpan Godwin and stuff like that. So we will
That's
really
gonna please Anarchy Hamster. He wants them as posters and prints, which I agree with.
Nice.
All right, so let's jump into issue 3. Now, I remember at our last time we interviewed, we talked about, man, y'all went all in with this page. This picture went viral.
Yes.
You guys are not afraid of embracing sensuality in your books. This was a dope scene. And you could literally hear like the romantic music playing as you saw this scene. It's like dun, 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 dun. It was like really well done. The lighting, everything, right down to the details of the curls of the toe. Look, I'm not gonna get there. I'm not gonna go there. But
it helps that Dotun is a pervert, but yeah.
Hey, yo.
but last time we were together, if you thought that was good, and this is the edited version, just for y'all know, they had a hard time getting these pages that you're not even seeing everything. They had a hard time getting the editorial to approve them to do these. This is the edited version.
Yeah.
Dotun, I still want to see the unedited version. You have to send those to me at some point. Ones that were rejected. But you said wait until you get to issue 3. That's what you said. So I'm waiting to get to issue 3. If you're going to top this in issue 3, let's take a look at issue 3. You literally start issue 3 with a bang.
Literally. Nice.
First page, you open the book. Bam.
Bam.
You guys
Definitely for work.
I had to edit this for the children that might be watching this, and YouTube doesn't want to completely destroy us. But this is the most tame picture I could find. Derek could find to put on there. But yeah, let's talk about who this character is. Who is this woman?
Dotun, do you want to take this?
Yeah, Anaya. Her name is Anaya. She was in the first issue. She's Akogun's nightmare in human form. She's the leader of the desert, and she's as bad as can get. She's strained. We have this conversation every time where we see a female character take down stronger male characters and all of that. She's not exactly strong or anything, but she's competent. She's just a competent character. I don't
competent. This woman is super strong. She's lifting these weights. She's getting punched in the gut, taking the punches she's a wall. And then on top of it all, dudes try to challenge her. She kills them all one by one.
Yeah.
Now, remember this dude?
Yeah.
He comes back later. I love you. Chop.
Yeah.
What is I don't even know what to say to that. I don't even know what you said. I don't know if to be titillated by this woman or scared of her. I think it's both.
Yeah.
But the enforcer for Ogun is basically what she is, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because Ogun is basically the personification of war. From in the Yoruba language itself, the spelling of war and the spelling of Ogun's name is identical. And also the spelling for magical charms is also the same thing. So it's Ogun, Ogun, and Ogun, all the same spelling, all reflections of this character. And some of the most fearful people you're going to meet here are people that worship that god. Heck, when they threaten you, you know, like in a movie that we just watched, that was like an adaptation of an historical event that happened in the Oyo Empire, the Yoruba Empire in the past. There's this very wicked prime minister, and one of the things he says is about Beori Efogun, basically saying, "I would decapitate you and sacrifice you to Ogun," which is what we see here. It's a popular saying, like, "I'll behead you and sacrifice you to Ogun." So
What's
it's
the name of the movie?
the House of Ga.
House of God.
Yeah, GAA.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll see
so
if I can find it.
there's a character that you can just research called Bashorun Ga. Bashoruns are the prime ministers in the Oyo Empire. So he was one of the most notorious people in Yoruba history, Bashorun Ga. So yeah, so it's that's what I wanted to reflect, that okay, people that worship Ogun, how fierce and how dangerous can they be? And we reflect it here, and that's where we see even a place where she was training and they were torturing her, and they was saying, "Who do you serve? Who do you worship?" And she says, "War." And if it was in Yoruba, us saying war would also mean us saying Ogun, the god of war, too. So it's what we're trying to play around with. And technically, Akogun died in issue 2. And the first person to ever have been able to kill him is this woman here. So she's just that fierce.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a confrontation between the two of these is inevitable. I'm not going to talk about what happened because I don't want to do a spoiler. But Akogun is on his way to try and defeat Ogun, his nemesis, I guess. So he was literally born to destroy. He rips through all of his guards like silly putty. It's not even close. His name is Brutalizer of the Gods for a reason. Um, talk about the sheer ferocity of this. I love the coloring that you used, um, and I love the fact that they've got this really bloody scene, but you also have them wearing red. Was that intentional, Dotun?
Oh, I didn't color. D colored. And but the design of the desert characters was set in stone from the very beginning by Murewa. Yes, yes.
I love how you sort of draw inspiration from different, almost fantasy influences as well.
Yeah.
I mean, these warriors look like they could be ninjas out of a Japanese film or something as well.
Yeah, and mixed with some Arabic vibes.
Right.
Yes.
So and the what we'll also be playing around with is the different parts of the lands in this world. So you have like the forest people, the way they dress is different, the colors they use are different. You have the savannah people, they are mostly in browns. So, but the thing about the desert people in this world is because they are the farthest from Obatala's monsters, which are mostly in the wetlands. So they are the ones that are the most luxurious, they're the richest, they have the least challenges besides the so We also wanted colors that are probably expensive and difficult to get. Like in history stories, purple was a color that was very difficult to replicate. So royalty wore them. So we look for, okay, what colors could be also rare in this particular world. And it's red, it's white. White especially symbolizes wealth and holiness and being devout to the orishas here. I wanted to play around with that. And a big inspiration of also the structure of their buildings and everything is Timbuktu in Mali, which is also closer to the desert, and they have kind of like similar structures. So we picked a lot of stuff from different corners of Africa, like the savannah people. Like the hair of the women is similar to the Imba people of Namibia. So even though it's centered in Yoruba mythology, we play around with African all the African nations and culture.
All right. I mean, you guys really put a lot of thought and into the influences on this. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Before the final battle, the big between Akogun and the big bad Ogun, we're introduced to this character. And I remember in our last show that we did together, you mentioned the hierarchy of the pantheon of gods in Yoruba culture. And you said there was like one god that sort of no one can get to that god. He's
Yeah.
above all gods. Is that who this character is, or is it a different character?
That's not him yet.
So who is this character?
Okay. In Yoruba mythology, in the creation.
I didn't miss the fact that you said that's not him yet, which would seem to indicate that at some point we are going to see the God above all gods. But please continue.
Yeah. In Yoruba mythology, when Obatala came to Earth to make land and create human beings, there was a god that I spoke to ask for wisdom, and that was Oromila. Oromila was one that gave him instructions and things to do to be able to do this. Is the god of wisdom. So in the hierarchy of the Orishas, is the highest of the Orishas. Below the basically one above all. So, but what we're playing with in this story is, what if we were wrong? What if he didn't go to Oromila to get wisdom? What if he stole some of these things? What if they are not as close and intimate as we thought? So that's what we played around with. And just to show how intimidating this god is, Obatala is already a giant. So Dotun was 100% Dotun. It was not like, okay, Oromila is going to be the giant among giants. Is this big god? And seeing this extremely large god threatened by Obatala shows just how sinister he is. And the twist we're able to put in is, in the Yoruba mythology, Obatala and Oromila are extremely close best friends. So, like, how can we make it closer? What if they are brothers?
I
So,
see.
so we're playing with that. So we know if they are brothers, then there must be a father. So that father is the one above all that we're talking about.
I
The,
just realized that he was asking about Olorun. I thought he was
Yeah,
asking about.
Just asking about Lauren. And if you read, there are these texts like poems written at the back of each issue. They
right.
are all letters by this guy Oromila. And
Yeah.
in the first issue, he talked about his father, saying his father was imprisoned in the sun and his brother imprisoned on the moon. And this is the moon. So we know that there is the reason why the sun is bright and everything is because Olorun is trapped there. So there are a lot of hidden things, not just in the story, but in those poems that come at the end.
So you're giving us cultural lessons, history, fantasy, all rolled into one book. I love
Yes.
it. I'm all here for it. But then there's also action
And sex.
and sex. This book has it all, everybody. You need to run out to the store and make sure you buy this book. Um, Akogun finally has his confrontation with Ogun, and if you want to know what happens, you have to buy them.
Yeah, two kinds of action. Nice.
But that's dope. So, what is the future of Akogun? That was the third issue. This finishes this part of the arc.
We're planning for there to be a sequel series we want to work on, like, some of these European comics like Black Sad and stuff, where you have like new graphic novels, but there's just a little change in the titles rather than volume 2, volume 3.
Right,
So
right.
we're planning that there will be like Akogun Revenge of the Gods. We've
Yeah.
been playing around with that word, Revenge of the Gods. So, and that's where we explore the aftermath of Akogun Brutalizer of Gods. So we're still waiting on Oni to give us the green lights. Like, yeah, let's go this well. I think they're still trying to recoup the money from Brutalizer of Gods, do the calculations, and be sure that they have enough money to justify a sequel series.
All right. Is there anything the fans can do at this point to help add the revenues to make that choice easier?
Pick up the books, tell your friends. The trade paperback is coming soon. Buy for someone a gift to kind of like show onipress that there's a market for African mythology.
That was the best plug you could possibly give. We're very big on pre-orders here on Black Comic Lords, and please, as soon as you get information as to when the trade paperback is coming out, let us know. We'll be happy to let our other people, the other Black Comic Lords, know to hit the pre-orders at their LCS and order the trade for Akogun, Brutalizer of the Gods. So hopefully, onipress will allow you guys to continue the story. But you sent some more stuff to me. Um, you have a new series that you guys are working on called You Have 10 Years. You mentioned this a little bit earlier. I think, Dotun, I think you might have mentioned it earlier about a horror series. Can you guys tell us about this?
Yeah, Dotun.
I think you're in the best position to talk about it.
Okay. The we have while I was still trying to Dotun and I were still trying to break into the comic book industry, there was a writer called Mahmoudi, and he was writing for, at the time there were two big publishers in Nigeria, Vortex Comics and Comic Republic, and they all kind of set the tone of their stories and their logos as like Marvel DC kind of thing. So there was always like these competitions and stuff. So Mahmoudi at that time was the biggest writer in Vortex, which was similar to Marvel, and he's a phenomenal writer, and he's always pushing the industry. And in the publisher that is modeled after DC, Comic Republic, there's this like superstar artist that just broke in and is leading on the illustrations for their big horror title called Eru, which is basically Yoruba word for fear. So Mahmoudi called Dotun and myself and is like, yo, you guys, let's do something. You guys are doing stuff internationally. We're doing major stuff in the Nigerian market. Let's US Nigeria like have a little kind of mixtape. So we drafted a little like
You
contracts
guys,
and
you guys decided to do a collabo.
yes. So we're like, okay, let's look for stories that will basically like, so I can have like phenomenal arts by these two guys. So we all came up with the story together, and we wrote the scripts, and Dotun did the book design, he did the letters, and did that last page that feels like this highly painted detailed stuff. It's lovely. It's lovely, and the book is scary as hell. It's yeah, that page. Like you
Wow.
almost like feel the leather that he wears on his groins. Feels like something you
I,
can hold.
I want to show as much of this book as possible, but I want people to go. I don't want to spoil it for people, and I want people to go check it out themselves, and certainly buy it when it comes out. But let me tell y'all, the artwork in this book is phenomenal. It's black and white, but you don't miss the color because having it be black and white just enhances your viewing the
Thrill.
details of the lines
Mm.
and the shading. Um, it's just phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal work. And for a horror book, this is, and I'm not even a horror fan, and this book gave me chills.
Yeah.
It's 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 centered around which was Mahmoud's idea. Um, there are there are many ethnic groups in Nigeria, but there are
Right.
three that usually gets named the most, and it's already out there on Globally Comics. You can read it there, answering the question. So there's the Yoruba ethnic group and the Hausa ethnic group and the Igbo. So this is based on Igbo folk tale. There's a story about a young beautiful girl that disobeys her parents and goes out at night and gets her beauty, her face stolen by a monster. So we're like, okay, let's tell a story around that village. Because why was this little girl screaming and nobody came to help her? It's a very unusual thing in the Igbo ethnic group because they're very communal. They're like this family compounds and stuff. So why would she? Because I think in a lot of our languages there is not even word for cousins. It's sibling. They are all siblings. So
Right.
your cousins are sibling and everything. So why would this person be under threat and nobody came to save her? So that's kind of where the story is inspired from. And yeah, so it's really cool. It's free for anybody to read, to check out, and I think you would enjoy that mix of horror, action, fantasy, and Igbo mythology.
For those that are watching, we're gonna put the link to the book in the description of this video at the end. So be on the lookout for that so you can read this book. It's phenomenal. All right. So you have 10 years. Is this eventually going to be printed?
We're not sure. That's the odd thing because this book has been in production for, because you can see from the art, it's been in production for like months, but it's been with us for like years. And
Yeah.
the annoying thing is we've basically pitched it to every single publisher and they all didn't give us positive responses. And
Okay.
that really kind of
This is what I want you to do. We at Black Comic Lords have a good listing of publishers, and they're all Black-owned publishers on our website. I want you to check out. It's under go to blackcomiclords.net, go to Black Indies, and check out that list. Find a publisher that you're interested in. We'd be happy to talk to them and see if we can cut a deal, get you guys a deal with one of those publishers to release this book because this book is too phenomenal to not be
yeah,
printed.
it's crazy good. It's crazy good. The artwork, everything. And especially the art team. They really put their souls
Yeah.
into this work, and we really
Samuel,
like it.
best
Yeah,
choice actually.
Yeah.
Samuel, fantastic.
Derek just put the link in the site, so you guys check that out when you um, have a chance. There's also a website called Indie Planet. You can try Indie Planet, which allows you to download a PDF of your book onto their site, and people can purchase the book from their website, and it's print on demand, and they'll ship it to those people. So you
oh,
can
yeah,
try
that's
that as well. You've already got a finished product. You just need someone to print it.
Yeah.
So there's lots of people that can do that. Just we'll talk. We'll talk. Um, so Morewa, you also have a little pet project coming out that a couple people might be interested in. I heard you got a call. Um, Derek, why don't you pull that up for us? Got an email from Marvel asking if I would be interested in working on Storm's new solo series on the 11th of March. I already started shooting ideas, mood boards, and story ideas at them on the 15th. After the initial dread had died, all that was left was excitement. So, understand, for those who are watching, Murewa is being very modest. He got an email from none other than Tom Brevoort, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Head editor at Marvel, just the newly minted, reminted, because I think he's been editor before, but returned editor to Marvel. A lot of the changes you're seeing at Marvel now is because of Tom Brevoort. And Storm, so we're clear, Storm is the number one most recognized black superheroine in the world. She's number one. Marvel, DC, independent. No, there's no other character, black superhero character in the world that is more well known than Storm. And from what I understand, this isn't just we just want to do a quick little limited series. It's my understanding that Marvel's trying to promote her as a solo character. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's never been done before. She's had solo series here and there. I've owned them all. But there's never been a promotion to make her a titular singular character, much like Wolverine. Wolverine's a part of the X-Men. Wolverine can be part of the Avengers, but he's always had an ongoing series, and he's viewed as his own character. If Wolverine shows up on a Fantastic Four, no one's going to bat an eye because he's viewed as his own character. Marvel's never done that with Storm. She's always an X-Men. There was a brief stint where she was an Avenger for 5 minutes, but for the most part, she's always been with the X-Men. This is a push. The idea. Let me be more clear, just so you guys understand how significant this is. Marvel can make any character it wants famous with the right promotion. They just happen to have a desire to do it. Then that character gets put in this book and in this book, and they make cameos in this book and this book, and they get put on lunch boxes, and all of a sudden they start popping up in cartoons. When Marvel decides they want to um, really sort of push the licensing of a particular character, they will do so. And that character will be made famous just like that. Don't believe me? They made a talking raccoon an international superstar. A talking raccoon superstar. A twig, Groot, a superstar. They can do it with any character. So the fact that Tom Brevoort said, you know what, Storm has been second tier for too long. Let's go ahead and move her to the big leagues and put her up there with Captain America, Iron Man, Black Panther. Let's make her a big league Class A character. That's huge. No pressure, Mira. No pressure. What I appreciate, how I know this book is going to be good and it's going to be successful, is what you said in our last interview, which was your hesitance on taking the book because you're kind of sort of also cognizant of the weight of that character and how significant. Can you talk to us about that?
Like, even till date, every day I discover how much he means to a lot of people. Like when I got the invite to take for the job, like I said, it was Dotun and my sister that talked me into accepting the job because I was just so worried because this is an opportunity for Storm to go solo and to go big, like characters like Spider-Man, bigger than Wolverine, you know. And I know what she means to a lot of women. I know what she means to a lot of black women. And I was also coming as I also know what she means to African Americans, and I'm also coming in a little like as an outsider because being Nigerian and not American, and also being a dude and not a woman, and all those things. But I also understood what she means to people like me as well because I love African characters, and she's also part African. So it was such an heavy burden, and the more I've been working on this character, doing promotions and stuff like that, you also see it's mostly usually positive receptions, but sometimes you get a lot of negative receptions that don't feel to have like any reason at all. So you start thinking like the worst things, and you see different people like facing all those hates, all those opposition just to defend this character. And it makes me understand that a lot of people's identity themselves revolves around this character. So you just can't mess it up because you're basically playing with people's identity, which
Right.
is like serious business. So yeah, every day I get to respect this character, learn new respect for this character, and I'm glad I'd written lots more issues before discovering some of these things because it would have been really, really difficult to come up with stories with all that weight on your shoulders.
You make a very astute observation as to the significance of the character to different people. And I know that you're very engaging on social media. You talk to fans, you engage with them, you've been talked a lot about the character, which is all good, and the fans really appreciate that. But it's a double-edged sword because you, with the fans that are really excited about the character, you get their input and you get to feel that excitement. But on the flip side of it, there's always going to be those haters, those people, like you said, a character like this um, really speaks to um, how people identify themselves. I thought that was a great way that you phrased that. For some people, they identify with this character and see themselves, or see a part of themselves. For others, they see that character and they may see that character as a challenge to how they identify themselves. And that's kind of the thing that you as the writer have to kind of figure out how to deal with that as well, because you can't simply write for one segment of society. You've got to write a universal human story, a good story that hopefully even those that may feel challenged will be able to not to say, hey, I dig that because it's just a great story, regardless of what that character looks like. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I have complete faith in you, and I've seen some of the comments that you've made online about what to expect, and I wanted us to go through some of those comments that you put out there.
Okay.
Derek, Doctor Wizard.
Yeah. And by the way, the pre-orders has been phenomenal. All the major comic book shops, everything. She's in like top 20, top 10, sometimes even the top selling book, and it's not even
Well,
out
it
yet.
is
Issue one,
sold
issue two.
out. It is sold out in pre-orders in some
Yes.
locations.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal. That's phenomenal. That lets you
Like we're not
know.
even talking about issue one anymore. Now I just focus on issue two because issue one is sold out on many pre-order websites, like sold
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Um, we want to put this book in a position where Marvel can't cancel it based on bad orders or not enough orders.
Mm-hmm.
And pre-ordering is the key to that. All right, so let's take a look at some of the things you've been talking about. You've got these fantastic covers. Um, they got the best of the best to do these covers, and they're all phenomenal. Um, any of these could be incentives. I see that you've got a Doctor Doom cover. Is
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Doom going to pop up in this series?
Yeah,
Well,
100%.
clearly, obviously, because he's on the cover.
Yeah, one of the episodes is even titled "Impending Doom."
All right. Interesting. Storm has had an interesting history with Doctor Doom dating all the way back to X-Men 2 something or other. I don't
Yeah.
remember the issue number. Where Doom has always been impressed by Storm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's always found something very regal about her. He's wanted to make her his queen for a while. A couple years ago, they had dinner in, I think it was in
X-Men Red.
Krakoa. X-Men,
Yeah,
X-Men Red.
X-Men Red or Sword, I think.
Yeah, it was one of those. It was one of those that was either written by Jerry Duggan or Al Ewing,
Al Ewing.
and it was Al Ewing. And she brings up, yeah, the last time you and I met, you were trying to kill me, so I don't trust you all that much. He's like, you're bringing up old stuff. Like I've always respected you, Um, so I'm curious to see what you're going to do with that, because
Yeah, third time is the charm. So this is the third time they will be meeting. Let's see what makes it different. And we're going to be making a lot of similar references to what happened in issue one, because the first time they met was when we saw Rogue Storm, where Storm basically transformed into this heightened state of herself that we've not seen anymore. We've not seen ever again. So let's see what happens this time.
see, I love that. I love the fact that you reference something that goes far, far, far back in her history, shows that you've done your homework, and shows the fans what they can expect when you make an obscure reference like that about, yeah, her power heightened this unheard of level, and we never saw that again. It kind of foreshadows what we can expect out of your run. Um, I'm very curious about that. And again, as we mentioned about Marvel can make anybody famous. Marvel just announced Doctor Doom showing up in the MCU. And because Marvel Comics are often at this point more of a promotional material for what happens in the MCU, we can expect a lot of push of Doctor Doom over the next couple years until those movies come out. So having Doctor Doom cleared to be used in the Storm run is a big deal because it's all tied together. Taylor
Yeah.
Loves asks, is the Doctor Doom story a part of the Avengers story, like a tie-in story?
Um there's an event that was announced at the Comic Con called One World Under Doom.
Yeah.
So we're kind of seeing the journey Dr. Doom is going to take so that that title becomes reality. I want to be careful how I phrase the thing. So I think we're seeing Dr. Doom come up in Amazing Spider-Man. We're seeing Dr. Doom come up in Storm. And we're seeing Dr. Doom come up in the Avengers title. And they all kind of hint at what's going to happen by next year. So they are not tie-ins per se, but are more like build-ups to that event or to
And
that
and
start.
I agree with the people in the chat saying order every single cover of this book. I want all of you who are watching this order at least one copy of each of the covers. Pre-order all the copies of each of the covers. All right. Now, I think you had said that you kind of inherited this design that Lucas Wernick did of Storm as part
Mhm.
of the run. Will this design, the fact that Marvel said this is what her look is going to be, is this going to have any significance to her story at all? Is this going to be any tie-in or significance?
Um, yes, we play around with the this costume. Um, in issue two, especially, something big is going to happen with something on a costume that's going to play a big role in the story. And yeah, so that's one. And also, Dotun and I have always been a fan of stories where we see the characters wear different clothes because we're
Yeah.
fans of Iron Man, and Iron Man always has this armor specified for different things,
Right.
and that's kind of the reason why I like it. It's it makes the comics feel more real.
Yeah.
And there was a time I had a girlfriend that was loving this cartoon series, and suddenly said, "I'm done. I'm no longer watching this series." And I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "Oh, she's been wearing the same clothes since episode one. I'm
Oh,
done." So it's always been something I've always been paying attention to. Let's see these characters change clothes. Let's see them. Because why would Spider-Man wear this suit that is for stealth on a shield mission, and then he wants to break into Kingpin's lair, and that's not the suit he whips up. And he whips up the most shiny suit, let's see these people have a wardrobe and stuff like that. And Storm is going to be playing a role where she's saying, look at the skies and you would see me. So one of the things we try playing around with issue one and issue two is in the daytime she wears this costume. In the nighttime she wears another costume that you would see much clearer in the skies. So she's going to be wearing like different clothes, some that speak to African heritage, you know, different suits for different missions. She's going to have like some cosmic costumes. She's going to have some that are like battle suits. So we're going to be playing around with everything, pushing this character into the forefront. Like you said, a lot of all these characters like Spider-Man, Iron Man, Wolverine, they've had numerous looks, even in an ongoing series in a run. Let's have that here. So let's play
so
around with.
this is what I just gathered from what you just said. You mentioned different battle outfits, which means she's going to be a lot of action in this series. You mentioned her
Yes.
going out into space, which is a huge thing. I think I don't remember which issue it was. It was a recent X-Men issue, um, several months ago, where she actually went light speed in space, something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Fall of the House of X.
Fall of the House of X. Um, Storm's powers are crazy, and she has had multiple power ups over the last few years. Is that something you're going to explore?
Yes, definitely, definitely.
That's what I want.
But the cosmic parts we're going to be exploring the most. She will go to space. There are stories set in space, but most of it are like the other dimensional kind of things, like the way in Stranger Things, where you have like a negative zone kind of thing. So we're going to play around with that, like, because the eternity, the one above all, and some of these things, they don't technically live in space. They dwell in another dimension. So those are the kind of cosmic characters that should be interacting with, more of those cosmic entities than, like, let's say the Shia or the Kree.
Right. Right. Well, does that mean Craig, the astronaut's going to show up in your story?
um I've been getting a lot of questions about Craig, and
If,
Craig
if
doesn't
you
show
decide, if you decide to kill off Craig, I won't be mad at you. I'll just say that.
up. um Currently, I haven't written any script with Craig yet, and that's because a lot
Don't
of
worry
the
about
earlier.
it. Just end it there. I haven't written any story with Craig yet. Just leave it at that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
Don't no rush on that. If you decide not to do it, I'm cool with that.
I'm hoping something comes up later or something.
Great stuff. Anyway, so moving on. So we talked about fashion, right?
Hmm.
Um, she's a fashion icon, always has been. Particularly back in the Chris Claremont days. Um, I remember whenever they go on these shopping, when the X-Men were living in New York, and the X-Men were like, "Hey, let's go into the city and go shopping." And then Storm would always be at the forefront with multiple bags and multiple looks. She was always kind of considered kind of a fashion icon in comics. She's had multiple costumes, as you've said, just like how Iron Man changes his outfits. But Storm has also had multiple looks over the years. Um, is there any particular things that do you have input into story wise why she would look a certain way, or are you telling Lucas make her look a certain way in certain parts of the story?
Um, there are some that are dictated by the story, but not sometimes exact descriptions, sometimes not exact descriptions. Because we want this story to be like a balance of like um a day in the life of Storm and also this action-packed cosmic thriller. So sometimes we see her just wearing like shorts and a simple t-shirts with her hair packed a certain way in a house and trying to attend to like pets and plants. And sometimes you see her, like you said, wear a mad battle suit to fight a cosmic monster or something. So those are the kind of things we're playing around with. And when you have Lucas Warnick, like one of the best costume and fashion designers in comics, you give him room to breathe. And so we're hoping the colorists can also plug in and then give us some stunning visuals of our in different looks.
Hmm. I think we had gotten these pics from a tweet that you had done or someone had done.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is like two of like the 5 pages of the mood board I put together for how I see Storm dressing in some of this series, especially when she's wearing African prints. It's something that we hardly see in comics, and not a lot of colorists know how to pull it off. But I'm like trying as much as possible to see how we can get African prints into this comic.
I dig that. I appreciate that too. I love the fact that you gave those references to Lucas to work with.
About the African prints, um, I don't know if you saw what we did on Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we've always loved that inclusion where, so there's a thing that we've complained about in-house between ourselves, where in comics, people usually wear just white tops and jeans or plain looking dresses. So we've always had this conversation around, you know what, let's spend some time on including things that we see in our culture. African prints, to illustrate that is a lot of work, except you're going to use pattern designs and all of that.
Right.
So we did that in Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood. However, we had to change a pattern that we used because we did not want any legal issues. So I had to go draw that painstakingly all over again to create this African pattern on one of the characters. So ever since then, we've always been big on, let's include some things that look like real world clothing. So when Murewa was talking to me, Storm and the things she's going to wear, it was just amazing that he showed me some of these beautiful things that is on the screen right now. And I
Yeah.
was like, yes, you
Yeah.
did not.
I mean, if she's wearing even half these outfits in the book, you're winning,
Right.
man. Because this is awesome.
Yeah.
I note that this one in the lower right hand corner reminds me of her wedding dress from Black Panther 18, which makes me sad to remember that. All right. Moving on.
I think that's also was able to implement it in I Am Iron Man 5 with this character we created together that we love so much called Diola.
Yeah, the
She's
one
always
that's green.
wearing
Yeah.
like she's always wearing like patterned jackets.
All right. So my man Mark, who unfortunately couldn't be here today because he's at Dragon Con, says, "Is it going to be based in Atlanta?" You said yes. Um, what is the significance of Storm being in Chocolate City in Atlanta? Are you allowed to say? Is it a spoiler?
No, not really. I don't want to give a disappointing answer. Um, while working on the first 5 issues, because when Tom reached out and I asked like how many issues do I have, he said you should have 10 issues, but the 10 issues are on the condition that the first issue sells well. If the first issue comes and it flops, you only get 5.
Yeah.
So I wrote the story basically with the mindset of I get 5. So the first 5 issues is filled with the most crazy cosmic kind of thing. So she's all over the place in the first 5 issues. So we see her in Atlanta, but she's not really like fully settled in because she's still new there as well. So we see her more going to like the seas, going to New Orleans, going to South America, every aspect. To see some happening in the dimension of manifestations in Latveria. So she's mostly all over the place in
The
this.
first 5 issues?
Yes, exactly. So
Bro.
because she's going to be Earth's protector. So we're going to see her all over these places. So it's
What was that last line? She's going to be Earth's protector. Is that what you said?
yes.
Is that like an official designation or what's going on?
Yes. Yeah, as in you're going
Really?
to see it when you open the Storm book, that page that comes up, the recap page that describes the character. That's what you're going to see. Storm is Earth's protector now. That's
a glow up, man.
so
That's
yeah, that's our official title now. So
is that have you told that to anyone before? Is that an exclusive?
I think it's out there.
I think it's out there. Yeah, I think it's out there. But it's official now.
It's official now. Well, I'll claim it as a Black Comic Lords exclusive.
This is a Black Comic Lords exclusive.
He's finally trying to keep up with me. Thank you, Derek. All right. So, you put here 3 of these images inspired Storm episodes. One of them is a fake. Which one of these? Let's get into more detail what these images are. One of them is a fake. I am hoping and praying that the one in the lower left-hand corner is a fake. Because I have no interest in that ever happening again.
I knew you're going to.
Everyone has been saying that.
Yeah.
Listen to your fans. Nobody wants to see that. It was bad when it happened. Nobody liked it. Literally, nobody liked it.
Can I ask?
Why? That's the point.
What did you say?
Can I ask why?
Why?
Yeah.
Wolverine is beneath her.
Okay.
He has been with more women in the Marvel universe than anybody. He does not. Storm does not need to be another notch on that dude's. She does not need to be another notch on his belt. And more importantly,
I think
forever.
Okay, I think we're looking at it in a different way. A notch on his belt. How about he being a notch on her belt? Because, like you said,
I don't want to say it that way because that sounds very pejorative.
Yes, he is beneath her, and the more reason why she can make choice. Now, this is not me saying yes or no to whatever Murewa put out there. Yes, we have conversations around these things, but don't come to me for anything. I'm just saying for this isolated situation, Storm and Wolverine, he is beneath her, yes, and I think she can make her choices. I think we can allow her to make her choices. Don't you think?
Yeah, but that would be a bad choice.
Yeah.
Not to mention.
People should be free. People make bad choices. Like we've. I'm not confirming any of this, but it's we know those hot girls in school when we're in school. Those girls that are like
Storm is a whole grown ass woman.
They never
has passed her thought stage many years ago. She is a whole grown ass woman now. She does not need to do the bad girl thing anymore. She did the thing with the mohawk in Japan and did the punk rock. She's gone through all of that. She's a grown ass woman now.
It doesn't
Let
make
her grow up.
Grown ass woman. She still had a mohawk in the last run.
Jesus, you're killing me. Look. At the end of the day, particularly with Wolverine, what Moody Reese says is right. Wolverine will always be in love with Jean. Everyone else will simply just be a stopgap measure until he can get back with Jean.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time. No one's interested in that. Nobody,
I
literally,
think
no one's interested in that.
I think
No,
some
no,
of the
I
I
don't
think
think people are not interested. I think they hate it, and that's interest.
exactly.
Ugh.
I think this choices actually make her a fuller person
Taylor
than
Love is literally throwing up on the screen right now.
I think it makes her a fuller person than being the perfectionist that we try to impose on her all the time. She is a person of principle and all of that. But the fun thing about people of principle is when they become human like us and they make errors that disgust us.
She's
I think
done that error already. It's already happened. That's old news. You don't go back to the X. She's been there. She's done that.
Yeah, we don't go back to the X except we're trapped with the X, and then yeah, it's like
The only X that matters
yeah.
is T'Challa.
And why do you keep going back to your ex? It's the thing that makes her relatable.
Well, then she should be going back to the only X that matters, just T'Challa. That's her soulmate. Because Bast has blessed her. She's gone before Bast. Bast said, "You have my blessing. You're one of us." That's on a cosmic level. You can't mess with the cosmic level.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. You guys will have me here for 2 hours talking, going through a whole litany as to why they need to be together. I don't want to go through that. All right. So, can you tell us which one of these is the fake, or are we supposed to figure that out?
No, well, I'll basically just talk about all 4 images, and I'll still not say the one that is fake.
Go ahead.
So I think the one with the one in the middle is basically of the Black Winter from Thor's by Donny Cates.
That's the cosmic aspect of everything.
Yeah, so we know that the Silver Surfer is the herald of Galactus, but Galactus is actually the herald of a bigger being that is the Black Winter, and so yeah, we may play around with that. And in Life Death, she struggles with depression and the loss of her powers. So that's that. And the other one is Cyclops basically running through it. So yeah, we may also have that too. Maybe, yeah.
Some inhuman action. I think that's Black Bolt, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Black Bolt. But that's not the important part. The important part are the mutants crying and Cyclops going through it.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one is from X of Swords. Where something almost happens and then it doesn't. So
yeah, I was happy for that. It didn't happen.
Yeah, I remember reading that comic. I was like, wait, what's about to happen? What's about to happen? Oh, thank God.
They're just getting drunk. That's all that was happening. There's just nothing to see here. Nothing to see it. Getting drunk with the old friend. That's it.
So yeah, they're all very, very possible given the tone of this story. So
look, Taylor Love is warning you. If you focus on this number 4, Twitter is going to come after you.
Taylor Love. I need people to think about it in a different way. Think of it as a power move from Storm. I feel, but think about it. Think about it in a different way.
Nah, nobody wants to think about it like that, bro.
All right,
let's move on. All right, Storm is in danger, extremely so. Join us on this epic series. We follow the labors of Aurora Monroe. This is high-stakes drama like never seen before. I love that concept of the labors of Aurora Monroe. The idea that she's going to go through levels of trials, which, the thing with doing the labors idea, the trials of Storm, means that you're also, with every trial that she accomplishes, she's created a new feat.
Yeah.
So with every new feat, you're revealing new powers and new skills that she develops by achieving that, overcoming that trial. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, at the end of the labors of Hercules, Hercules joins the Olympians.
Right.
So, well, after like going through it, and death plays a big role in the labors of Hercules. Death was not the final part of that story, but was a transitional part. And I don't think it's a spoiler, but in this story, death will also be playing that role.
When you say
And
death, are you talking about the dude she danced with in X of Swords death? Or just proverbial the death?
proverbial death and death that is a part of oblivion.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so I'll give a little spoiler here.
All
There's
right, hold on. We're going to do our Black Comic Lords exclusive thing that Dr. Wizard's not doing.
This is a Black Comic Lords exclusive.
I was waiting for the good stuff. All right. Slap it
so
on me.
there's something we're going to establish in this series, and it's the four primordial entities, and as death, oblivion, infinity, and eternity. They are primordial beings and considered children of the one above all. Infinity and eternity are twins, and infinity dwells inside eternity. And oblivion and death are twins, and death dwells inside oblivion. So that's going to be the new status quo of these four cosmic entities. And we're going to see what part Storm will play in this clash of the cosmic siblings. What role she's going to play there. That's going to be one of the major plots, the overarching plots. So while we're going to see Storm save kids, go to Africa, go to Brazil, do some fun things in Atlanta, we're going to. I'm hoping for some of these stories to be greenlit because she's going to even organize like a kind of UFC stuff among superheroes, different stuff. But the main overarching plot is going to be our role amongst these four primordial beings. So we've been seeing Jean Grey fans saying that, oh yeah, Phoenix, he wants to mess up Phoenix, and people saying the Griever and all those stuff. The honest truth is, where I don't really care much about those characters. The four characters I really find super interesting, and they're going to be playing a big role in this story, are those four primordial cosmic entities. And it's because of how they are different facets of life itself, how we perceive existence. And we're going to see Storm play that major role amongst those four entities and see how. So yeah, that's the best I can give.
Bro, just some light work, huh? Just some light work. That is, I want to say the word unprecedented. I'm trying to go back through my 70 years of Marvel history. When you talk about these cosmic characters, you're talking about the characters above Galactus. That's the level you're talking about. And the only characters that get to those level really is like a Silver Surfer type character. And you're putting Storm on that level and beyond. She's talking to the very forces of creation and destruction of the universe. That's a level up beyond level ups. It's like, stick it to you, Al Ewing and Jonathan Hickman. Those weren't level ups. This right here, this is a level up. That's putting Storm on a whole other level. Let me ask you a question. One of the things that and we talked about this before, one of the things that has been addressed or touched upon, I should say, over the last couple of years is Storm's mystical side. Right? The fact that Storm's mutant power is viewed as the ability to manipulate energy. People used to say she's just a weather witch. and that's we've expounded upon that, the witch part, by saying she actually has a mystical background with her ancestors and what have you. One of her ancestors being one of the former sources of Sorcerer Supreme. In fact, one of the most powerful Sorcerer Supreme. And that her mutant power isn't just manipulating weather, it's the control of energy. And that even extends to cosmic energy, is what we've learned over the last few years. So is there going to be, in these, when she's addressing these entities, is this sort of the big boss at the end of the trials, or is this one of the trials? Because at that point, if this is after she's ended the trial, she's going to have a significant power boost.
Um,
or is that too much? They're giving away too much.
No.
If it's giving away too much, just say I just read the book.
I'm trying to say lots of things, and then they get jumbled up. First thing is, yeah, I think Storm has mutant abilities, and I think they've mixed up with a mystical heritage to a level that I don't think she knows where the magic starts and where the mutant power stops.
Right.
I think it's put up. So it's how a power set is not just a power set, it's also how you express yourself. So even though she's an energy manipulator, what she conceives is nature.
Right.
That's what she has links with. So the powers express themselves that way. It's how a telekinetic person might just move an object, while some might create something that moves the object. So it's how she expresses herself. And we're going to play around with why she hasn't explored that magical side, and if she will eventually explore more of that magical side. That's going to be part of this story. And
because in essence, is there really, when you're talking about that level and you talk about these characters, these cosmic characters, what's the difference between their abilities and the ultimate conclusion of what Storm's abilities are? It's just manipulating energy, right? At the end of the day, that's all it is. And that's her power set. You take her power set to the extreme, she's a cosmic level character if she evolves to that level. And she's an Omega mutant, so technically there is no limit to her powers, right? Or it's uncharted.
Sorry,
Yeah.
can you that question? I didn't hear some parts.
If you get green lighted for more books, do you have a plan or idea already? I think Murewa's got a plan for about 20 books.
Yeah, 30 issues.
30?
Yeah.
30 issues. Wow.
Paul, you asked the question just now. I didn't get that.
I think the question was well, I don't know if it was a question or a statement, but the fact that her power set is to manipulate energy. What is the power set of these cosmic energies, of these cosmic beings, but just manipulating energy and reality, right? If you boost, and she's an Omega level mutant, means her abilities are virtually uncharted. Her ability for her, the potential for her powers to grow is uncharted, is the definition basically of an Omega mutant. If you take her power to the nth degree of being able to manipulate, to sense and manipulate energy, doesn't that put her on a cosmic level?
Okay.
The story we're trying to tell is going to sound like someone trying to, like, we're talking about Omega things here, but this story is going to be beyond Omega. Okay. In the clash between these four primordial beings, there's something that happens amongst them, and the punishment for the person found, allow me to use the word, guilty of that thing, is going to be the person will be smashed into the size of an atom, such that that entity would not be able to contain life or anything. So if eternity is found guilty of that thing, our entire universe, the entire multiverse, entire existence of beings will suddenly cease to exist as they are crushed under cosmic forces into nothing but the size of an atom. So the stakes here are more than planets getting destroyed. It's it's like I said in a post saying that these threats are well beyond Omega.
I see.
So
She's
it's
powerful, but she ain't that powerful.
yeah.
And as Chillmonger says, can she take a bullet?
Technically, no. That's the
No,
funny thing.
she can't. She can. Those
Yeah,
powers end real
technically
quick
no.
with a bullet.
And
All
that's
right.
one of the things we want to play around with, you know.
Yeah. At the end of
How,
the day, she's still a human being.
yeah, how do you put this person on higher levels than Silver Surfer, and yet she can't take a bullet? Let's see
Yeah.
how that works.
She in essence can do a lot of the things that Thor can, but Thor can take a bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And who knows? In this run, she might be able to bounce them off. But let's see.
I like that. I like that. I like that.
Cosmic Kevlar.
Cosmic.
Mhm.
What did you say?
Cosmic Kevlar.
Kevlar. I
Nice.
love that. Bro, you're like getting me amped for this run. I can't even with you guys. Aurora's love of nature is front and center in the upcoming Storm #1. You won't miss it. It's a freaking double page spread. What are you alluding to here?
I like that tweet.
Because it was in response to this person saying,
Yeah.
the people are praying for some attention to be brought back to Storm's love for plants and having her own mini garden in the Storm solo. We need it. You mentioned that when we first see her in the first issue, she's going to be living in a very large space by herself.
So it's not going to be a mini garden.
So there's no garden in the large. She's got a large space.
It's not going to be a mini garden. It's not going to be a mini.
So a very large space. So it's going to be the biggest, potentially the biggest garden ever. And she's in Atlanta.
Like 5 New York blocks.
All right. So the answer to that is yes. There will be more gardening of Storm.
Yeah.
Cool. Will it be, for my ex-nerds out there, will there be any plants from Krakoa there?
No.
No Krakoan plants. All right.
I think Dr. Doom is the only one that has a Krakoan seed right now.
I don't remember that. Is that something that you're writing? Is that from somewhere else?
X-Men 35.
X-Men 35?
Yeah. The last episode, the last book from the Krakoan Age.
The last issue from the X-Men. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is like, of all the covers that are for this run, this is the one that I keep coming back to.
Issue 2.
This is on issue 2. Is this Mateus Manahini?
Yeah, the main cover artist for the series.
There's a lot going on in this particular cover. And as every time I look and do my pre-orders and stuff, I keep coming back to this image, and I don't know why. I am fascinated with this image.
This is the issue Dr. Voodoo shows up in.
Man, you let the cat out the bag. I was about to jump into that. But yes, Dr. Voodoo shows up in this issue. I know that's a favorite character of yours.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for bringing him back. I haven't seen him in a while in a comic, and he's also one of my favorites. He's Derek's favorite character.
Oh, nice.
Is Dr. Voodoo. He's got a great collection of Dr. Voodoo stuff.
It was featured in I Am Iron Man 4.
Yeah. You guys had the very last sighting of Dr. Voodoo in your run. That he hasn't been. He has not been seen since.
I think he showed up in Gods. So.
Which one?
Gods by Ickman.
Oh yes, I think it was in Gods. Yes.
Was that before or after you guys though?
That was after.
I think immediately after. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So is this an image of voodoo that we're seeing here? These what's the term they use in the Dr. Voodoo books? Zembovi? They don't say zombies. They use some other term.
Oh yeah. We also play in the story. That's in issue 3. We also play around with the fact that Dr. Voodoo is a necromancer
Right.
and deals a lot with death and can see spirits and stuff like that.
Right.
Is the guy in the dark magic realm. He knows more about dark magic than anybody else.
Well, you mentioned that Storm's dealing with the entity of death, right? And the entity of the not you said death, and what was the brother of death?
Oblivion.
Oblivion. And Dr. Voodoo is a necromancer, deals with death. I could mention, because I'm going to keep plugging this, the fact that her former husband is the king of the dead, but I won't touch that for now. What I find interesting also about this image is look at her fingers. It looks like her hands are pressed up against glass.
Yeah.
Now she's covered with all this stuff, hands grabbing her, what have you. It looks like she's in a very enclosed space, and her hands are pressed up against something, which this is why I'm so intrigued by this cover, because we know that Storm's claustrophobic. And for her, this must scare the crap out of her because it's a very closed space and she's being literally engulfed with these things. Can you tell us if this what is the significance of this cover on the story with it?
I think when usually Tom Brevoort asks for like cover suggestion ideas and solicitation texts. So they take it, sometimes they use it, sometimes they don't use it. And I think Storm 2 is the first one where they actually use one of my descriptions. And the glass part was totally by Mateus Mananini. It was in my description of the cover. And the odd thing is, in issue 3, this does happen to her. So it's almost like we're connected in spirit or something. So the cover is supposed to symbolize like in voodoo and juju and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to healing the sick, it's usually using things from nature. And you would think, oh, it would be like the pretty things from nature, but it's usually the ugly, grotesque things that are used, and that's kind of what we're playing around with to give that the downside of nature, but actually does good for you kind of thing. And it's also to symbolize that she's getting closer to death as well.
Mm.
This might actually drown as it's coming up. So it's playing around with voodoo visuals and how she's getting pulled towards death gradually with each issue. I think I sent an email to Tom saying that every issue gets its own title, which it was released. But if we're going to give a title to this first arc, like the first 5 issues, the title is going to be Death.
Wow. All right. And here's the covers for issue 2. You guys are killing it. Fantastic, man. There have been no information on issue 3 yet that I know of. Is there anything that you can broadly tell us about what we can expect over 3, 4, and 5 to complete that first story arc?
Okay, for issue 3, what I can say is Gail Simone had to read my scripts before they greenlight it.
Gail Simone's writing X-Men, isn't she?
I'm not going to say anything more than that. Gail Simone had to read the script.
X-Men, I believe she's writing X-Men.
She's writing Uncanny X-Men.
She's writing Uncanny X-Men. Okay. Well, that's interesting that you had the reference to speak with her. So, cool. And issue 4 and 5, is there anything else you can tell us about that?
Issue 4, Storm's father shows up.
Really?
When's
the last time we saw him? Since Wild Kingdom, maybe?
Like the X-Men Gold, I think. I'm not even sure.
Wow. Okay. You never really get to see her American side of her family.
And issue 5, Oblivion shows up.
All right. There you had it, folks. The dopest storm mum of all time is almost here. When does this book drop?
October 2.
Okay. Gentlemen, it's always been a pleasure to have you on with us. Are there any other projects that either of you are working on? Dotun, can you tell us what other projects do you if there's any projects you're allowed to talk about? Are there any projects that you have upcoming that you can talk about?
I can't talk about some of them, but okay, I can talk about this one. Last time we were here, you guys asked for like what do I call this now? Like some type of character descriptions of the Akogun world and all of that. So I've been working on that for a while, and I put it somewhere. I came back to it again. Then, but yeah, that's what I'm working on that I can talk about right now. But Murewa and I are working on another project, secret project, and we can't really talk about it yet.
Yeah,
But
but
characters in Akogun's world, yeah, I'm actively working on that right now.
Okay. Can you tell us what genre the secret project's going to be, whether it be fantasy, horror, or superhero?
I think it's science fantasy.
Yes,
Science fantasy. All right.
I think there's a little bit of dark fantasy to it too.
You know,
Yeah.
I'd love to see you guys do at some point, the two of you. I'd love to see you do a sci-fi book.
Yeah, there was one we're supposed to work on together, but it got canceled last minute.
I would love to see you guys do a sci-fi book. And Murewa, you're going to be busy with the Storm book. Do you have any other projects going on other than Storm, or is this going to be taking up all your time?
It's projects that one are trying to work on the secret projects, and
Other
also
than
I'm also trying to work on some animation projects too. So, but all those ones are still like work in progress. But the best you can do to support us right now is get more eyes on Akogun Brutalizer of Gods, so that we can get to finish that story, because it gets crazier. Like, if you thought Ogun was a big threat to Akogun, imagine when Shango shows up.
Yeah.
And
Ooh,
and Shango in real mythology and in this story is sick.
a beast. Yeah, he's a beast.
Sick. So yeah, let's see what the gods
It
do when
is,
it's
and then you made him sicker. Actually, you know,
yeah.
we
Mhm.
we had a little bit of back and forth with the previous issue where he says, "I'm going to take your this. I'm going to take your wife. I'm gonna your wife. I'm gonna all of that." Personally, I wasn't too comfortable with that. It was too much. But you know what? I was like, it is Shango. That's who he is. It's a bit much, but that's exactly what this story is. You know, Akogun is thrust into this political warfare between gods. And yes, I think it made a lot of sense eventually. So yeah,
I
Shango
would
is
Yeah.
terrible.
I would love to see. Sometimes when I do these interviews, I throw pitches, just as a fanboy. I would love to see these characters from Akogun thrown into the modern world. Like, I've been wanting to see Shango in the modern world for a long time.
Oh, we're going to hate him.
What?
We are going to hate him if he shows up in the real world.
Yeah.
Look, even as a villain, I just would love to see that power set in the modern world.
Yeah.
Just a more badass version of Thor. Um, a Thor mixed with Conan type character.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be incredible. If you guys ever decide to do a spin-off series having these characters come into the modern world, I'm all here for it. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm.
Definitely.
All
Definitely.
right. So, where can people follow you on social? Before we get to that, when does the trade drop for Akogun?
Oh,
Do you know?
I'm not sure. It's already available for pre-orders, but I don't know the launch dates.
It's on for pre-orders right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone watching this, throw your support. I need to see what happens next to Akogun, and I need all you guys to help out by pre-ordering the trade paperback so that onipress will go ahead and allow these guys to continue the story, because it ends on a cliffhanger that I really need to see what happens next. Gentlemen, it's
People hated that cliffhanger. They're like, no.
Please
But it was
come.
deliberate, actually.
Say that again.
It was a deliberate choice. The
It was a
cliffhanger.
deliberate choice because you wanted to alienate me. I understand. You wanted my dollars, and you got it. You guys come back anytime. All right. Don't be strangers. Whenever you got another project coming on, just let us know, and we'd love to have you back. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
All
for
right.
this having us.
All right. So you guys stick around in the background, and for everyone else, we have a Derek. Can you bring that up? Today's your final day. Tomorrow's your final day to get the Black Comic Lords exclusive cover from Concrete Comics. 2 covers, A and B. There's also a foil version that you can get. Go to their Concrete Comics, their Kickstarter, and get those comics while you still can. Very, very super limited runs. So until next time, gentlemen, look forward to seeing you again. All right? Black Comic Lords, we got you.